For Thursday, February 8th, it's 60 Second Idol. Let's get right to it. Well, Tuesday night's San Antonio audition was the last open call for Season 6, which means if you're a redneck who likes to sing and loves to make signs, you're going to have to wait a whole nother year. Unless, of course, you were one of the 20,000 or so who showed up at the Alamo Dome, most of whom, unfortunately, were pretty forgettable. Possible exceptions included Haley Scranato, and even though it was her first time in front of the judges, they were glad to see her back. Fortunately for us, however, she was as good on the ears as she was on the eyes.
This is the window to my heart. I just want you to be free.
Also of note was green-eyed blonde Bailey Brown, whose white teeth and harmless voice prompted Simon to encapsulate pretty much everything that's wrong with the music industry today.
Bailey, you are one of these girls who is probably born to be a pop star. You know, you look great, your personality's fantastic, your voice isn't great.
Wow, with that ringing endorsement, you can practically hear some of Kevin Federline's sperm start swimming in her direction. Meanwhile, on the short end of the talent stick was Sandy Chavez, the 21-year-old teacher who was just a turtleneck and a junkyard away from being one of the Cosby Gang.
Like the sun, I had a mother, everything, always when I'm on.
Hey, hey, hey! Of course, her singing was only the second coolest joke of the evening, and the first being when the judges rejected the overly expressive Ashlyn Carr, only to let her cry her way all the way to the curb before calling her back and telling her, hey, guess what, we love you after all. Unfortunately, there was little else memorable about the trip down to Texas. Simon seemed like he'd been taking pleasant pills. Paula seemed like she hadn't been taking anything, and we didn't get one dog out of Randy all night. Not that I blame him, being down in Texas. In fact, even the producers seemed like they had time to kill, so they reused the same gag reel that they used in the first episode where people were trying to go out the wrong door, and believe me, this time it was even less funny. And yet, just when I seemed to think they were setting up the ramp over the Shark Tank, in rolled Wednesday night show. Of course, at first I thought it was going to be just another clip show, a review of all the contestants, those that actually had talent, those that were just shoved in front of the judges for the benefit of the cameras, kind of like those big red Coca-Cola cups. But fortunately, I couldn't have been more wrong. The wrap-up was all the fun and degradation you've come to expect on Idol, starting with 19-year-old Krista Fazzino, whose sense of fashion was so twisted that if you could hear how bad her clothes looked, it would sound like this.
But you'll never come. I guess I was so wrong. It's just too good to be true.
I like the heels, though. Actually, I liked a lot of the show last night. There was little montages that showed how all the women went straight for Simon and how all the guys who weren't so straight went for Paula, and a few misguided folks who still believed that Randy was one of the original Jackson 5. But there were some good singers, too, that those selfish producers decided to hold back from us, including cool boy Paul Kim, who said he was out to disprove some stereotypes about Asian singers.
It kind of bothers me when people think about Asian singer, think William Hung.
Nobody thinks Hung when they think of Asians. But if you want to talk about disproving stereotypes, let's talk about roller skating waitress Ebony. She seemed like the dark horse among LA's Blonde Brigade, but it turned out she was actually the Beyonce of her little Destiny's Child.
I believe in you and me. I believe that we will be in love eternally. Well, as far as I can see, you will always be the one.
With a voice that good, somewhere Bobby Brown just can't wait to take a swing at her. Of course, wrapping up the night, Seacrest gave us a quick peek at the weeks to come when more than 170 of these adolescent attitudes will descend on Hollywood. Be sure to tune in because believe me, if you think it was fun watching kids get a shot at making all their dreams come true, just wait till you get to see them throw it all away. It's 60 Second Idol, the podcast best described by a small tribe in New Guinea who says,
always when I'm on.
Tune in next week for another episode available exclusively at crabsandbeer.com.